Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League, discussing roster moves, weekly matchups, and the fact that I can't predict a Justice match to save my life.
To be fair, they're not making it the easiest with how they kind of handled things previously, but now that they're actually playing Decay regularly, it definitely does kind of bode well, but we'll see. There's still some stuff that has to be worked out.
Well, they had a mercurial performance this weekend alone, and then after that first game, I went and I changed my pick'ems like, well, if that's how they're going to play. And then my pick'ems are garbage,
Nah,
you
you
guys. They're
you
very bad.
you gotta set that and forget it. Like you gotta treat that shit like an investment, like long term. Just put it in. Don't worry about it. Let it do its thing. Otherwise, if you get cold feet, you're gonna end up regretting it.
Look, the one time I didn't change one that I thought I should, I ended up regretting it because I had Valiant getting a map and they didn't. And that cost me points. And then I was like, oh, well, that was a hell of a Justice match. And I went, maybe not. And then they came back on Sunday and went, maybe so. And I'm like, you know what? I give up. I don't care about the statues, but I could use $500. Let's
Yeah,
be
I, I
real.
I think we all could.
I think we 2021, we could all use $500. Get on that, government. Not actually kidding. Fucking do it.
Yeah, seriously.
Anyway, I'm Katie. I'm the support main.
I'm CJ. I'm the tank main.
We have fun here. Yeah, let's talk about the week 12 results. Let's talk about how just completely batshit insane this entire weekend continued to be.
Yeah, no, the summer showdown really is just kind of like the shifting sands of the meta, just constantly pulling the rug out from under teams. Uh, Starting off, we had the Paris Eternal versus the San Francisco Shock, with the San Francisco Shock pulling out the win 3-1, which, while Paris looked good, it's not the rebound performance you'd want to see if you are a Shock fan.
It's not, but they did pull it out. And
They did.
I can't work with fans going, oh, the Shock are terrible now. They may not be quite as unstoppable as they used to be, but also a lot more teams. Many more teams are much more powerful
Oh
at
yeah,
this
no.
point.
Like the thing is,
So,
Shock are definitely underperforming. There's no way around that. But at the same time, the standard of competition has gotten way, way, way higher.
oh, yeah, parity is good.
Yeah, for sure.
Parity. We are in an audio medium.
Parody is very dependent. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Next up, we have the Washington Justice going up against the Atlanta Reign, and the Atlanta Reign won handily 3-0.
Justice just did not look good in this match. And I thought they were going to pull it out because they showed up with Decay. And I'm like, oh, well, hey, there we go.
Mhm.
Michael Jordan's back. Nah, not so much.
Yeah, like the thing is, I don't think all of the issues with the way the Justice have performed up until now have been like at the feet of them not playing Decay or anything like that. But I think it's a big help in a lot of ways. But they do have more issues that they need to sort out in terms of just team play, meta understanding, little things like that. Like I haven't gone back and rewatched this match closely, but I talked about earlier how there were a lot of little things that the Justice were doing in previous metas that didn't really, help their chances of success outside of the decay issue.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have a lot that they need to work on. It's just from what we've seen, Decay is often enough to, you pull a Carpe carry and you just go for it.
Yeah.
But that did not work out
And the
in
other
this
thing is, yeah,
match.
you can't rely on that. If
No,
one
absolutely not.
if one person is your key to victory or defeat, then it's very easy to counter strat you. You can't do it.
We talked about this with this team last year in
Talked
the
about it
final
with
tournament.
talked about it with many teams last year.
Yeah, fair. This one was specifically, though, if anyone can stuff Decay, that's the end of their finals run. And lo and behold,
Yeah, pretty much. Uh,
yeah.
So, going over to APAC, we had the Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Guangzhou Charge and picking up the 3-0 victory.
Depressing, but not surprising.
No,
I want Guangzhou to do better, hence the depressing.
yeah, Fusion they seem to have kind of like stabilized to where we like had them at the throughout the May Melee, or like as they sort of picked it up towards the end of the June joust after that really rocky start. And I think having the pieces of their team sort of coming back online is making a difference here.
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
and I think honestly, one of the pieces of news we were going to discuss later is very relevant to that, because Shockwave is back in things now, and one of the things that really hurt the Fusion over the course of this weekend was getting whoever was playing Tracer was getting outplayed by their counterpart, especially in the Shanghai match. Um, so having Shockwave back in that lineup, someone who he's definitely more known for the flanky sort of hit scan stuff, but there's a decent amount of overlap between Echo and Tracer, and I feel like him being in there gives them at least another option to try and see if that puts things back in their favor.
Yeah, we've only ever seen Shockwave perform on the Titans. And again, we talk about how an overall team's performance does not necessarily match the individual performances of the players,
Mhm.
which again, they got picked up by Philly, and Philly is I don't want to sit here and say that Philly is always good, but at least over these past few seasons, Philly has been solid.
Philly has always had, like, Philly may not always have straight up fucked on their opponents, but they have always had the capacity to fuck. Like
Fair.
they had like, even at their most inconsistent throughout like season 1 and season 2, they could still play up to the level of the highest teams. And last season we saw them really sort of achieve that potential consistently, even if it wasn't enough to sort of get them over the finish line and translate into tournament and title wins in the way that they would have hoped with how they were playing in sort of regular season matches.
And
But
I mean, last year's June joust,
oh yeah,
the
no,
hoedown, showdown, throwdown. Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying that, you know, with the lineup that they had, they were very much hoping to go all the way with how consistently good they were performing in that season.
And then they wound up with half their players unable to play with them because of the situation. And so, yeah, the fact that they are getting these players back, I think we're seeing a steady upward trajectory for them. And
It's,
I say that in the face of a 3-0 from Shanghai, but let's be real, it's Shanghai.
it's stones being added into the Infinity Gauntlet for Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Shanghai, they're up next against the Seoul Dynasty, and predictably, Shanghai gets the 3-0 win. This team is consistently monstrous. Like, I just don't know what else to say. Like, they have, like, the thing is, I definitely was sort of questioning like where they were at the start of the season, but the more the season has gone on, like the more consistently top of the pack they've been, the less shaky they've seemed compared to how they did in the May Melee. They're head and shoulders above the competition right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're definitely there in the APAC region, and I would say also matching, if not beating, some of our NA teams. Like the level of competition is just insane. And I do think that they are still they're still flying pretty high from that June joust victory. Not really a reverse sweep, but a reverse sweep in their souls. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Like,
the dictionary definition of a reverse sweep, no. Spiritually reverse sweep, yeah, pretty much.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely like, it doesn't need to be map 5 for you to have hit that point where you feel like you've been broken. Like, being dragged into deep waters can happen at any time if the performance is dominant enough.
Yeah, we saw that with Atlanta Reign versus Shanghai. They were done
Yeah.
from map one, y'all.
Oh yeah. No, like
Very rough.
that I've seen like the look on the faces of Atlanta in some boxers after certain rounds where it's just like, oh yeah, we got like one more in us if that shit. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and that was Shanghai's second tournament reverse sweep,
yeah.
which is insane.
Oh yeah, like that's one of the things that I did mention before was that I don't know exactly what Moon brings to the table in terms of coaching, just because most of the conversation about him is in Korean, and either not all of it gets translated, or not all of it is translated in a way that's like accessible or crosses my dash. But the players very frequently talk about him helping them get their headspace sort of in the correct place and being good for their mentality and their sort of mental resiliency and everything. And I feel like that is a big. I feel like that's a really big part of what makes this Shanghai team so dangerous right now is that they're in that same place that the Titans or the Shock were last season, where even if you have them up against the ropes, they are able to, if they have a second to recover, they can come roaring back.
Yeah. And we just keep seeing them do this. Like, it'll be interesting to see the tournament round this time around. Because I will be amazed if Shanghai does not make it into what are we in right now? The Summer Showdown.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely
no, like
gobsmacked if Shanghai does not make it.
yeah,
Like,
no. At this
what
point,
the
the two
hell?
favorites are Shanghai and Dallas, and Dallas is definitely looking a little shakier right now than they have previously. But the thing is, we've always had that one match where it's like, oh, weakness exposed, and then Dallas levels up
Yeah.
and then continues to maintain momentum. Conversation shifting over to NA. Let's follow it. The next
Hmm.
match is Paris Eternal versus the Vancouver Titans. The Paris pick up the predictable 3-0 against the eternally crestfallen Vancouver Titans.
And the Titans do.
Breadsticks were denied.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And the Titans do not pick up breadsticks. I appreciate that this is our storyline for the Titans. And again, I come back to this every time, and I'm sure the Titans don't appreciate it, but it's got eyes on Titan games. And if you can get people watching your games, then you can get them rooting for you in some capacity.
Oh yeah, like that's the thing. You've just got like obviously I've said over and over again like how demoralizing it must be with the fact that the breadsticks are more over than you are as a team. But if if they show up off personality and they keep making if there's potential displayed and there's personality that people can attach to, then there is an opportunity for this to transition into, actual fandom for this team again. But that's not a guarantee.
I mean, they did bring some Outlaws fans in with them when they signed Linkser. So there is still very much a contingency that's in it to win it for the Titans
Yeah.
solely because Linkser's there. And
Oh,
you
for
know what?
sure.
More power to them.
Yeah, no, and I respect
Linkser
that.
is good people, and his mother is absolutely charming. I follow
Yes,
her on Twitter. She's great.
she is. And
Mama Linkser is fantastic. Follow her on Twitter.
yeah, just seconding that. The So the next match that we have is the Dallas Fuel versus the Florida Mayhem, and Dallas picks up the 3-2 win, really struggling against the Orisa comps, but managing to clutch it out at the end. And Dallas struggling with the Orisa comp is something that we had seen before. Um, it's not really become the meta. It's not a thing that a lot of teams have practiced yet, so we'll see how relevant that becomes, or if they're able to plug that hole. But the thing that I want to talk about with this is the whole checkmate situation, checkmate OGE.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we talk about Checkmate here for a minute? Because this was also the broadcast that went full Australian on us after Mr. X had, I want to say, internet issues.
Uh, it was some technical problem.
Yeah, this Mr. X was unable to cast for a bit, and so they subbed in Custa with Uber, and they just the sheer Australian quotient of this match and this casting fucking skyrocketed.
Oh, it was
And
great. I loved it.
glorious inside baseball except Australia references, and just I have to say that my one of my favorite bits of this, aside from the absolutely bug nuts gameplay from everyone involved,
Yeah.
was going back to the desk at the end, having Mr. X there, everyone else bailing on him, and our final shot is Mr. X alone at the desk with a lower third that says reinforce was wrong, 0 times 5 is still 0, because he had predicted he'd predicted that Dallas would get 5 times the Winston primal kills from than Florida. And it's like, well, multiplication doesn't work if you've got a fucking 0 in there. That just makes it 0. So
Yeah.
reinforce is wrong. 0 times 5 is still 0, along with Mr. X being the last man standing at the desk, is just one of those beautiful, beautiful things. Like, if Zoe didn't already have something else in her frame, I feel like that should be the next thing in her little frame.
Oh, absolutely. That would be fucking worthwhile as hell.
Just yeah, so that's the non-technical side of things. That's me sitting here with the color commentary going, "This is the best damn thing I've seen all day. More, please. Thank
Yeah.
you."
it
But
it was
yeah.
genuinely hilarious.
Oh my god, yes. The composition that we have at the desk right now. For one, I kind of transcended reality a little bit when they were talking about 4th of July and I went, "Wait, hang on. None of them are American. Oh, this is gonna be amazing."
Which, yeah, that was a moment where I'm just like, oh, okay, we're gonna have some fun with this.
Honestly, the best people to talk about 4th of July are not Americans. It was definitely this crew.
Oh god, yeah. I was so all about it. Anyway,
But just
we're
this balance of personality and 2 brain cells between 4 people is just chef kiss. Please keep this desk, League, because they're fucking perfect.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, getting
So
to the thing we
checkmate.
were actually trying to talk about. Uh, so yeah, so checkmate. This happened like right after we recorded the last episode, predictably.
That's
Um,
always what happens.
yeah, checkmate goes over to main tank and starts ahead of OG, which so I this is really bad for OG's like Overwatch League career prospect for the future. Because even if Checkmate has been like playing tank and grinding it on ranked or whatever, if he's still a DPS player in a professional capacity, one, he's not going to be like you're the tanks you're up against in this case are Fearless and Mag. And Mag may not have had the most stellar performances in the Overwatch League, but I still think he's a very, very strong main tank. And Checkmate is going to get, he is going to be the best you're going to see from him in that position is serviceable. And I think more often than not, he was more mediocre in that role over this weekend. But the fact that you take out your main tank player and put in a DPS player ahead of him to play that role,
Against Dallas, with the way
yeah,
Dallas is right now.
yeah. Well, like at any point, at
Yes.
any point. So OG, I think, is a phenomenally mechanically talented player, but he's definitely been very inconsistent and never been able to like fully realize the potential that we kind of see in him. Um,
So he's like Linkser.
in some cases, yeah. But the thing here, so with DPS, you can have other people come in and fill that. Like, so OG, I definitely do think has had problems syncing up with the team. Like, there are definitely times where he gets caught out and killed, and I don't know if it's a communication issue, if it's sort of like play styles not meshing well, or whatever. But you know, one, a coaching staff should be able to help, maybe not iron it out completely, but mitigate a lot of these issues and put people on the same page, even if they do have different play styles. And obviously, having people that mesh well together is always kind of where you want to be. And then just, enhance from there. But the fact that you take him out and have a DPS player start over him, to me projects that you don't see those problems as fixable.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you have to keep in mind right now is where the Florida Mayhem are in the overall standings, because you know they're they're not playing next week.
Oh, that's
Like,
true.
they've finished their summer showdown games, and they went a full 0-4. Like, the moment you take out OG and put in Checkmate, you're going to get pounded at main tank, even against a team that only has a sort of average level main tank player, just because the person in this role hasn't played that part in a professional capacity, and it takes a lot to get there, and especially against a team like Dallas, and I think against a team like Washington, when they're playing up towards the potential people kind of expect them to have, like, that's a punishing matchup. um so you're not going to win those games. And the other thing you have to keep in mind is you have a total of 16 regular season games this season, and they've played 12 after this week.
This
You
is, yeah,
that
yeah, you're right.
that is something that projects a desperation Hail Mary thing, that you don't think a problem is fixable, and that it's like, we're doing this to try and make this happen. Because let's be real, you put Checkmate as he played right now up against literally any main tank in the league, I think he's going to get outplayed.
Vancouver's tank line. Valiant's tank line.
I'm talking just man to man in terms of main tank mechanics. Valiant's problems are immeasurably larger than just the main tank matchup.
This is true.
I'm just saying that, like, I do think Changshik could definitely outplay Checkmate here. Um,
Eh,
Based on what we saw today. I've seen Changshik do very good things in the past, and we saw Checkmate's, to my knowledge, entire resume of professional tank play this weekend.
So the fact that they put in Checkmate over OGE means that they thought they had better fucking chances with Checkmate.
It hints at a big problem that coaching is either unwilling or unable to solve.
Yikes.
And that, obviously, I don't know, like, whether it is an OG thing, like, because his previous history is, the Dallas Fuel, who at that time were struggling immensely with virtually every aspect of the team. And then you have the Gladiators, who have always had potential, but have never really been able to put it together towards meaningful long-term success. They've always been like a B plus. And then now with Florida Mayhem, we have another team that has a lot of potential but hasn't been able to put it together. And yeah, he's the connecting tissue between these three scenarios, but I don't know how much of this is, but I don't think in those cases that it is entirely on him. But when you're in that position and the coaching staff, especially because Kuki, I think, has won a lot of respect for what he's been able to do for the Florida Mayhem over the past 2 years. Um, if you hit that point where you're just where you don't even want to try and play him, it's very hard to imagine, like, unless something dramatically changes, that he would be in a starting spot like next season on like a strong team.
I was going to
And
say, do you think that they will keep starting Checkmate when we get into the Countdown Cup?
I don't know because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes here. Like I don't think it's going to do them any good. Like and I don't see that improving their chances. But I'm working with a very incomplete picture here. Like
Well, yeah, I mean, we all are. None of this is inside baseball.
yeah. So if they do, I think we could very easily see the Mayhem go like 0-4 the next tournament cycle, or 1-3 or something like that, depending on who they're up against. Like, let me just. I'm gonna go over right now and look at their like upcoming schedule, just to see the main tanks that Checkmate is gonna have to try and outplay.
Well, I was going to say, in the meantime, let's go through the rest of the results, but I want to talk about the next match, and I don't just want to skip it over.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, for sure. Oh, so their
so,
last four matches are Atlanta, Boston, Houston, and Gladiators.
well, fuck.
Yeah,
You
like,
might have a chance with Boston.
but that's the only one, and even then, I don't know how that'd go like right now.
And I mean, on the one hand, they took Dallas to a map 5, which is not always the easiest thing to do.
But then their
On the
next
other hand,
game,
they got shellacked by Washington, but that was also Washington stepping up.
yeah, and to their credit, Dallas looked a lot better the next game as well. But Florida, meanwhile, Washington stepped up, and Florida looked rough.
It was a very quick match. It
Mm-hmm.
was, I'm not, I feel like one of these had a draw in there somewhere, and I cannot for the life of me remember which one it was. Because I was going to say, like, I feel like that was faster than or just as fast as the Vancouver and Houston one. And I'm like, that's not the case. There was a draw in here somewhere. I
Somewhere.
just don't remember where.
Me neither, but let's talk about the match I know you're really excited to get into. Houston Outlaws versus San Francisco Shock, and the Houston Outlaws pick up the 3-1 victory.
Watching this was crazy. It just, at the very end of King's Row, it was like a switch flipped. Was it King's Row? No. No, Junkertown was where everything started going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that, oh my
Where
god.
they baited poor Twilight with that fucking TP.
And then Twilight and used the coalescence and could not get back through and just got wrecked. And that was the
Yeah.
end of that run. And then it was like Shock wasn't even in the last two maps. Like, they were there, but they weren't really there.
Yeah, like it really is, they're kind of struggling on all fronts here. Um
And I mean, Junkertown going, I think it went 6-5,
it did
which
go
is
6-5.
which is insane for Junkertown, which is one of the harder ones to finish.
Oh yeah. But
So yeah, this entire match was just, it was going all San Francisco, and then they got jebaited, and then that was it. Like, they did
Yeah.
not come back from that.
Yeah, like they really do look unsteady in a really big way. They It's hard to really say like with any sort of comprehensive coverage like what's going wrong, but like they don't have the same clutch factor. They're making more mistakes. Bad habits are getting punished more. It's a shock that isn't at the same level, and other teams that are really rising to meet the challenge. And there just isn't much to say about it. Like I really do question the wisdom of having Violet of like the support compositions they're doing. Like, because don't get me wrong, Violet and Twilight are god tier, like as flex supports, but I think them being sort of forced into this position isn't really. It does kind of you're getting an opportunity cost in terms of like the things you can play and things you can play well with that
Yeah.
lineup.
And I mean,
And
you've got FDGod, and he's aggro, but he's also good. So this is it's weird
yeah,
that he
it's just
wasn't there.
yeah, and like I think part of it is, how much he struggled up until now, how much him getting punished has been an issue, how much like the stress of this has been, affecting him as well.
Because people are blaming him for the shock not being as good because he's one of the new players. And for one, sit down and shut up. That's not the case at all. This is that's not what's happening, people. Please chill. But that's
Yeah.
a lot of pressure to join a championship team right at the point where we're starting to realize they're no longer a championship team, or at least not a shoe-in the way that they were for 2 seasons.
No, and like again, you can't blame this on any of the individual players. Like
No.
the thing is sometimes specific combinations of people work together really really well for a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
And changing it, it's not that FDGod is bad. He's fucking phenomenal. But his style either doesn't really suit the team or the team doesn't know how to play with him, and they haven't been able to sort of make everything work together in the way that they would, need to really make the most of having him.
Well,
And
yeah, they were used to Moth for 3 seasons, and Moth functions very differently from FD God.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just you're used to emotional support, Team Rock, Team Dad, Moth, and then he's gone, and now you have aggressive, cool uncle FD got it. It's a very different dynamic.
cool.
I mean, you know what I mean.
I'm just imagine, yeah, like I.
He's not dad. He's not responsible for all of this. He's the cool uncle who shows up and does cool shit, but he's not the one you lean on when you have a problem. You go to dad for that. But dad's a daddy-ator now. So now what? So it's a very different team dynamic, and I can understand it not working the way that people are expecting, including the team. Like that's fine.
Also, don't forget, literally different coaching staff as well. Like Krusty's there,
Yeah.
but like Junk Buck and 9K, that were 9K left earlier, but like the coaching staff that sort of built that ultra dominant iteration of the team has suffered a bit of a couple losses.
Yeah, and Junkbuck went to the Outlaws, and now the Outlaws are kicking ass and taking names, and I'm sitting here going, "Thank you, yes, please, thank you. This makes me
Mhm.
happy."
He has taken some of Krusty's power.
Yeah, well, all of us who have been Outlaws fans from season 1 are sitting here going, "Vindication." Have they won a
Finally,
tournament yet? No. Are they doing better? Yes, thank God.
you have a roster without glaring deficiencies and a coaching staff that could be called competent with no asterisk. and look at what it's doing for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice. And I
Trust
mean,
me,
it's
I'm a Dallas
always.
fan. I feel
I
you.
know.
We're
All of the Texas fans out here living.
depressed fist bump from like 2 seasons ago.
Oh,
But
no, man. Now we get to live. And it's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Picked a
So
great time to have a different main team. And by I picked a great time, I mean the Valiant fucked up. So now I have a different main team. And
yeah,
it's great.
so
Again, nothing against the Valiant players and the coaches. They're in a difficult situation and we support them. Fuck the org.
in the
Continue on.
in the meantime though, let's follow the Valiant over to APAC. Uh, so
Sure.
next, the Seoul Dynasty took on the Guangzhou Charge. This
And
one,
reverse swept them.
yeah,
Oh,
this one
oh,
was hard to watch.
yes, we were doing so well. And then we weren't.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah, and it was funny to me too because so fully half of the flooded deadlifts that have occurred this season have been profit against the Guangzhou Charge.
Oh my god. It's very much the whole thing is step 1, Shanghai Dragons. Step 2, versus Guangzhou Charge. Step 3, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 4, profit.
Yeah,
Like,
and
goddamn.
yeah, and so like for the Guangzhou Charge, like they had a rough weekend. They got swept by
Yeah.
Philly, tough 5 map loss against Seoul, and you have to wonder where the morale for the team is right now, considering that run of things, especially now that they've got a new coach in. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting an overnight change, but they've gone literally. I think they've gone 1-3 in every stage.
Yeah. At least they're not the worst blue team in APAC. I have gone to exactly one PAX convention in my life, and I was picked to be an Omega Knot, which is their video game tournament, and our chant, because right up until the end, it didn't matter if you won, as long as you didn't get eliminated. So the chant was, not the worst, not the worst. And I feel like that's where Guangzhou is right now. Not the worst.
There are quite literally 3 blue teams worse.
Really? In APAC?
Not in APAC, but in the league as a whole. Like Vancouver, green and blue, Washington, the London
London.
Spitfire, pretty much all blue, and then the Valiant.
Yeah, no, I was just going for APAC. But
Yeah.
yeah, in general, not the worst, not the worst. And sometimes that's all you gotta do. It got me through a couple rounds of the Omegathon, not gonna lie. But
It
sometimes that's all you can do.
I just remember there was a movie that I saw as a kid that I thought was fucking hilarious that definitely hasn't aged well, but there was one line that just stuck with me. What, you're gonna outrun a bear? I don't need to outrun the bear. I need to outrun you. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's the fun text on a Magic the Gathering card, too.
I'm sure it comes up a lot, but basically that's the moral victory for Guangzhou right now.
Yeah, yeah, not the worst. That's where we are. Yeah, it's hard being a Guangzhou fan. It is.
Yeah, and
Not
it
as hard
is
as it could be. Still hard.
true. It's just like that roster is so good. Rio, Krong, Choi Sehuan,
Yeah.
you like there's a whole bunch of really really talented players who have looked really strong before, and it's so sad to see a roster with that much talent struggling to this degree.
There's something missing there. If it's coaching, if it's cohesiveness, it's something. They are missing the firing pin that's making this go.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's they're playing too tentative, sometimes it's other issues, sometimes it's just being up against Shanghai and getting just alphaed. Like,
I mean, that's everyone's issue in APAC.
yeah,
That
pretty
is,
much.
every team is like same hat versus Shanghai.
Yeah, which
Excuse me,
coincidentally,
Mr. Shanghai, can we take a map this one? No.
it was also Philly's problem in our next match.
Shanghai got double 3-0s this weekend, and this is my surprised face. You can't see it, but it's not surprised.
Yeah, for
They're good.
sure.
They're
They
fucking
they
good.
are, and like I will say, Philly looked pretty competitive on map one. Like it was relatively close, but the longer that match went on, the more Shanghai picked up momentum and dialed in on exactly what they needed to do.
Oh yeah. And it's Shanghai. You expect nothing less. So Shanghai's definitely going to the summer showdown. Stick a fork in that one, it's done. Uh
Yeah, yeah, like it's not surprising at all, but the the conclusion has been reached.
yeah. So then moving on back to I almost said back to APAC. No, that's where we are.
NA.
NA,
Woo!
Atlanta versus Dallas.
This was a fucking banger. This was like the most fun series of the weekend for me. Like not even because Dallas wins 3-2, but it was just a competitive good match.
Yeah, this was the barn burner. This was the hoedown, showdown, throwdown. I thought that it might be Houston and San Francisco, but that was not the case. It was this one. It was a rematch from the June joust.
Mhm. And Atlanta's, coming in to say we're not the gatekeepers anymore. And like they went toe to toe with Dallas at Dallas's strength for the majority of this matchup.
Oh yeah.
Um, because like obviously Dallas wants to play the Winston comps more than they want to play the Ryan comps, but they've been very good at the Ryan comps, and it's like fast moving brawly comps with weird angles, and they're really 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 fucking good at using the different using sim TP to make rotations and take angles and be creative with their use of it. They're the best in the league at that, I think. And Atlanta took them to map 5. They looked really damn good throughout the majority of this series. And like I think Atlanta really has come into their own as one of those teams that even against one of the top squads, you can't necessarily count them out anymore.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have the standings pulled up right now. And for NA, they are 8th out of 12, but I feel like that's a bit of a fib, and I wish the website would show me all of the teams all together instead of
Mhm.
dividing it. But I would put, let's see what we have for Atlanta. 5-5 with a +7 differential.
Well, you also have to take.
It puts them above 4 of the 8 APAC teams as well.
Well, the other thing is you have to take
3.
into account their strength of schedule. Like
Yeah.
the Florida loss was rough, and then that was when Florida was like, if you look at their matches like in order, they lose to Florida, which was rough, but it was when Florida was doing really well. They lost against Toronto, which was also rough. They went 0-4 in the, or they went 1-3 in the May Melee, and then come into the June Joust. They had a gimme against London and Vancouver, but they also had matches against the Gladiators and the Outlaws. But they've had, you know, teams that were pretty strong throughout the majority of their schedule. Like I wouldn't say they've had the most uphill battle in the league, but they've definitely it's not an easy road.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. They are currently just below the knockout cutoff for the Summer Showdown, but they've also got 2 games to play this weekend. And let's see, everyone, with the exception of the Paris Eternal, that's above the cutoff and everyone except for Florida and Vancouver that's below the cutoff also have 2 games to play this weekend. I was so confused when I opened up the site and they're like, play starts in 15 hours. And I'm like, it's Wednesday. What the fuck is happening? Oh, it's a tournament. It's
Tournament
play-ins.
weekend.
So we have Thursday games.
Yeah,
I forget this every time.
I get you, but since you brought them up, let's move on over to the Vancouver Titans because they had the misfortune of going up against the Houston Outlaws and took a 3-0 shellacking.
Let's be real. If the bingo card I think generates differently every week, if I'm recalling this correctly,
The
it's
bingo card, they had three different things that if they got it, you would have gotten breadsticks. They
RNG fucked them.
yeah,
RNG just said, not today, my child.
RNG just said you cannot have leavened bread. It is a fasting week.
Yeah, I guess. It's just, oh my god. And I think that with the exception of the free space, obviously, and I could be totally wrong about this, I think the squares on the bingo card they move every week. I think RNG changes them every week. I
Mm.
think. I could be dead wrong on this. Regardless, it was placement that fucked them this time around, because they did show up. And that's the thing. Like,
They're still
they didn't,
trying.
yeah, they didn't play, they're not up to the standard of most of the other teams, but they never, in either of these matches, they never just rolled over and said, we're done. There was no moment of completely demoralized, we're just dragging ourselves through this. They were still trying on every map, regardless of how it went. So even though it was essentially a foregone conclusion for everyone watching, given how good the Outlaws are right now, they're still doing their best in there. They're still showing up. And I'd say
Yeah.
it's worth something, you know?
Yeah, and like part of me, this is just me being like the foodie and just being like, I want to make like Vancouver Titans themed breadsticks at some point. Like
If
I've
you do
made
it, I want to taste test them.
I've made a lot of I've made like Pizza Hut kind of style breadsticks before because sometimes you just want garbage food, but you also don't want to pay like fucking $6 for the thing itself and then delivery or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I want to like go in and just pick ingredients for each person in the starting roster and then just make some fucking breadsticks with it. I don't know.
Do it. Are you kidding me?
I I'll
Absolutely do
I'll
it.
figure this out. I'll figure this out and then
I feel like this is a battle of wanting to do something creative and a great meme and foodie, and also fundamentally disliking the Vancouver Titans as an organization.
yes.
It's a weird intersection to balance.
It it is. It really is. But
I encourage your creative endeavors and also demand that you let me try them if you do.
yeah, I was going to say like you're doing the like you're in favor of this because you'll be able to come over and get some.
Well, yeah, but I'm also in favor of this because I love seeing people do creative shit. I was
Mhm.
in favor of the cooking competition, and that was an unmitigated disaster. I have never seen a garlic cake before or since, and I do not want to. So,
Again, part of me
I'm just
wants
here for food.
again, part of me wants to do that as well, except just do it not shit. The only thing is my kitchen layout is terrible for actually like making for like filming videos.
Yeah. I mean, just take some photos. I don't know. It's hard to do anything in apartment kitchens. Let's be real. They're
Yeah,
all very tiny and very narrow, and you can fit 1.25 people in there comfortably.
yeah. Uh Pretty much.
Anyway,
Let's getting back to it. Last match of the week, Washington Justice versus the Florida Mayhem. And we already kind of discussed this one, but Washington takes
yeah.
the 3-0 win over the Florida Mayhem. Washington continues to ascend. Mayhem continues their days descending down the rankings of the Overwatch League are certainly coming to a middle.
Yeah, And I mean, we'll see what happens, especially since we're going to have hero pools for the Countdown Cup.
Also, I want to say this
Do it.
because London, they have two games this coming week. Florida has finished their they finished their summer showdown. If London wins two maps next week, two maps total, or this coming week, they will have finished with a better differential than the Florida Mayhem.
Fair. Who are they playing?
Atlanta and Washington.
Right, so
Yeah.
they might not then. But
No.
then part of me is like, well, they did take the Shock to a map 5. And the other part of me is like, yeah, but how's the Shock looking right now? You said Atlanta and Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to depend on whether Washington plays like they did on Saturday or like they did on Sunday.
And also, don't forget, Sparker is a thing now. And the team has definitely
Yeah.
seemed to respond well to his presence. I don't think it'll be a win for in either case here, but we'll see how they perform and if they continue to improve.
It continues to be the Michael Jordan factor. Everyone's a good player, but that guy, man, that guy. So
Yeah, that's week 12.
yeah, let's take the over under on that. I think they will take 2 maps.
You know what? I'll do it too just because I want to see London get a W. I like them.
Yeah, no, do I think they'll actually win against either of those teams?
No, but
Do I think they'll take 2 maps? I'll take that Vegas side bet.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll,
why
I,
not?
I'll take that side bet, and it's not maybe not a literal league points W, but a moral W.
Not league points for them, but pick 'em points for us. If
Yeah,
we get it right.
yeah.
Anyway,
Over
that
to the
is
news.
yeah, that's
That's week 12. We did it.
goddamn. That's a whole lot of everything. Week
Yeah,
12 took an hour.
yeah,
Admittedly, we stopped and talked about Checkmate for a chunk of that. And
yeah,
that was well worth discussing because holy shit, Checkmate.
yeah. He didn't look dog shit, but he definitely didn't look good. And unfortunately, with how strong the main tank position has become over the course of the Overwatch League's evolution, I don't see him paying any dividends for Florida. It's buying Bitcoin at 50K, like,
Yeah.
which might still go up eventually, but for now, no. Anyway, over to the news. We talked about it a little bit, but Shockwave has finished his quarantine and can now play with the Fusion again. He's back scrimming with them.
I'm excited.
We'll see if Fusion continues to level up as new pieces get added. If their transformation into their final form is complete or not. We'll see if they fall short or if this is their Infinity War. This tournament.
Honestly, I am just hella biased because his username is Shockwave.
Yeah,
I'm a little sad he's not a gladiator because no purple jersey. And I'm a
true.
little sad he's not a tank because Shockwave. But he still picked a good one, y'all.
For those of you who don't know Transformers, Shockwave is
Shockwave
a
is a tank.
Decepticon who turns into a tank and is usually one of like the big bad like second under Megatron tier like fuck shit up dudes.
Oh, yeah, no, Shockwave is a galactic horror terror and we love him. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Shockwave and Soundwave, man.
yeah.
If they pick up another DPS named Soundwave, I will lose my goddamn mind.
It's like
Just saying.
it's like Atlanta's the zoo if fucking Philadelphia becomes Cybertron.
You know what? It might actually make me buy a Philly jersey.
Which,
I don't look good in orange. That's not going to stop me.
which is funny to me because Philadelphian robots historically have not gotten along well. Because do you remember Hitchbot?
No.
So Hitchbot was
Oh, yes, I do.
yeah,
And Philly fucked it up.
in 2015. Hitchbot, a little hitchhiking robot that they just let it loose in countries and made successful cross country trips across Canada, the Netherlands, and Germany. They started doing it in the United States, It got all 3 miles deep into the country. It started in Boston, ended up in Philadelphia. The robot was destroyed and beheaded.
Yeah. Can we not treat the robot nicely? Please. 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 No, okay. Anyway,
It's the
my
most
joy at
silly shit.
Transformers names aside, this Shockwave is the one where I went, if he gets onto All Stars, I will buy an All Stars jersey, despite the fact that oftentimes All Stars jersey colors are not great. The jersey
Mhm.
colors for Atlantic and Pacific would have been great had we had jerseys. This is where I'd be putting a Shockwave All Star jersey if I had one. So I was big mad that there were no jerseys the one year that both regions had good colors
I know. I know.
that weren't fucking yellow.
So, moving on.
Yeah.
We do have 2 roster changes for the New York Excelsior. They bring on Coach Undyne and off-tank player Kalios, which was kind of a rumored thing from last week. Now, the Undyne, like, basically on both ends, they're coming out of a Korean team called O2 Blast, which
Mhm.
recently won Contenders Korea Season 1 of this year. They've had previous wins and very strong showings against, you know, in contenders for the past, year or two. And one of the things that's interesting here is, one, Undyne has coaching experience. He's an OG of Overwatch. He's been around for fucking ever. Um, but Kalios was also Yakpung's tank partner for a lot of that time, and also was part of the original Boston Uprising.
I know. I knew I knew that name.
Yeah, he didn't really get as much playtime for a couple different reasons, but at the end of the day, he definitely worked through contenders and kind of picked himself back up. His most recent tournament run was left O2 Blast and was part of WGS Phoenix, which didn't do super well, but he is a very, very talented player and he has previous experience working with Yakpung. So we'll see what things look like when he gets integrated. And Undyne, I don't have a tremendous amount of knowledge about what he brings to the table as a coach, but he has a good bit of experience. He started as an analyst for the NYXL before. I forget if he departed or was let go from the team, but wound up going to O2 Blast, was a part of their coaching staff for a couple big wins, and now he's back with the NYXL.
All right. Well,
And
here's hoping things pick up a bit for him.
yeah, we'll see if that happens. So on the Chengdu side, Elsa retires from the Chengdu Hunters. There was a rumor reported by Halo, and it was also a rumor that Late Young was apparently planning on retiring as well, but changed his mind due to Elsa's retirement, and that Eamon and Jinmu were also strongly considering retiring as well because of some ongoing issues between like the management and players and that. Which I have no idea if there's any truth to that. Like there was, that one time like a year or two ago where a lot of the team was considering retiring, so it's not the most implausible thing in the world. But the place where this gets interesting to me is Chengdu. The org said it's untrue through a couple, statements, and the GM of Chengdu, Luke, vehemently denied these rumors on Weibo with a very vitriolic statement that opened with uh with "Stop bullshitting, bro." And like,
Which, okay.
oh yeah, no, no, no. Like it was a thing. Like let me pull up the exact verbiage of his statement here.
Just hell of a swing for an official statement for a GM. Like,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah,
The biggest of mads.
yeah. He mad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. But I mean, if you're spreading rumors, whether or not they are supported about, yeah, half the team's going to retire, like, that's not a good look on the team, regardless.
no, it's not. So here's exactly what he said. Stop bullshitting, bro. Your original rumor of late Young retiring, which didn't come true, already destroyed your reputation. Why do you keep coming up with rumors that end up hurting the relationships of players and teams? Amon and Jinmu won't retire this season. And then in brackets, a little question mark, like what? Our fans can continue to look forward to watching Jinmu and Amon compete. Our team's relationships and atmosphere has always been very good this season, and at current stage is busy preparing for next month. Don't believe in rumors, don't spread rumors. This is a common Chinese saying lately. You can come to our Discord and talk to me directly. You can come explain yourself. I also want to understand how you mean by incredibly low and what situation is the ongoing situation. Um, Meanwhile, Jinmu's reply to this whole thing was, "See you in Shanghai, brothers,"
It's just.
which was just like, I don't know what's happening, but you've got my attention.
Just like, welp, here we go, I guess.
Hmm.
Fucking wild. Just wild. Ugh. It's you never really know what to do with this sort of I'm sitting here going gossip, gossip, rumor, etc. You never really know what to do with this because again, if
Hmm.
anything like this is true, it doesn't reflect well on the team. But also, you never know if anything's true, and something could be reported and then change. And I mean, we're still sitting here in the wake of, hey, Valiant's going to drop all their stuff. That's not true. That was never true. By the way, we're dropping everyone, and it was true all along. So, whom's the fuck knows?
Hmm.
All right. That
So
is that.
the next one, the U.S. Department of Justice has allegedly opened an inquiry into Overwatch League's soft salary cap of 1.6 million US dollars. A
Because we
basic
didn't have enough to do.
Apparently the lack of a players union is at the heart of the matter. I don't really understand the rules and how that works to really get into that in how that plays into things in detail. But basically, for Overwatch League teams, every dollar spent above the $1.6 million limit would cost the team twice as much, with that extra, dollar per dollar spent being sort of collected as a quote unquote tax within the league and distributed to the non-offending teams. League official, like, apparently, like, almost no team has ever done this, if any. um League officials have never publicly discussed a soft salary cap in any capacity, but there has been previous mention of a competitive balance tax in a leaked memo from 2019, and some now deleted tweets from former Spitfire GM Susie Kim um, mentioned it, confirmed that there was some kind of, quote unquote tax as well. Um, no idea sort of what's going to come of this or like how true that is. Dot Esports reported on this. The DOJ declined to comment on the article or the existence of a probe. Blizzard said there has been some kind of inquest and that they've been cooperating fully.
We really do need a players' union, though.
I mean, I think that's almost always, you know, a, a thing that should exist.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be great for Blizzard, but it would be great for the players. And honestly, I'm with the players on this one. Unions are not evil. Unions are good for you. Unions will fight for you when shit is wrong. Like, guys, unions are the reason we have a 40-hour work week and 2 days off and don't do child labor anymore.
Yes.
Like, unions good. Except for police unions, but those aren't real unions. That's a whole other ball of
Yeah,
wax.
that's an entirely different situation and how
Yeah.
those are organized.
That's completely different. It's like saying a sea cucumber is a cucumber. Like, nah, they're really not.
No.
They just share a name. So yes, union's good. Player union when?
Yeah.
Because we really do need one. And the we have people getting signed as young as I want to say, I don't think we've ever had anyone signed when they were 16, but we've had 17-year-olds get signed. and then play once they turned
Yeah.
18. So they deserve a union. They deserve people in their corner who know what's going on and who will be able to fight for them, because those are very, very big decisions to make when you are not even out of high school.
Oh, big time. And just for those of you who aren't really familiar with the whole idea of a salary cap or the quote unquote like luxury tax that can exist in some sports leagues, basically it's a way of putting a limit on how much teams that have like bigger name investors can spend to prevent them from just throwing money at players and all that and completely denying teams with a smaller budget from being able to compete in a meaningful way because they're just getting outspent.
Yeah. So, like, on the one hand, makes sense. On the other hand, players' union when. There needs to be a counterbalance.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And I'm not going to pretend that I know
Mhm.
anything more about that, honestly.
I, I'll
So,
tell you a completely unsurprising result in terms of baseball.
yeah.
The, the Yankees have paid more than 60% of all the luxury tax collected by the MLB since its institution in 1997.
You don't fucking say.
Very surprising, I know.
Yeah, I repeat with this is my surprised face. You can't see it, but it's not surprised. Anyway, jokes that don't work really well in an audio medium. Anyway, I think we've already talked about standings a bit, but we can talk some more about standings.
Yeah,
Paris is for sure in, Florida and Vancouver are for sure out, and God help everyone else.
yeah. Houston, Boston, Toronto, and Dallas all have 2 wins apiece. The Shock are in a very tenuous position at 2-2. So if any teams pick up a couple, if there's a couple 3-1s, we could see a tournament cycle without the Shock.
Yeah, if Atlanta, Washington, and or the Gladiators win both of their matches this weekend, and I'm looking at this going, is it physically possible for all of them to win their matches this weekend? It might be.
Yeah.
Boston's not one who's in contention for that, are they? Boston's already up there. They're fine. Yeah, no, no, Justice versus Gladiators. They cannot all win all of their matches this weekend because two of them pitted against each other. Um, but yeah, so if any one of them make it to 3-1, then that's the Shock out. And at least one of them will make it to 2-1 because, again, Washington and Gladiators against each other. So I will not be surprised if the Shock get bumped, because if Atlanta plays as well as they have been, if Washington plays the way they did on Sunday, and if the Gladiators play as well as they have been, that's kind of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think. I'm honestly not sure if Boston is going to keep the position they have, because they are currently in third behind the Outlaws, but they are going up against the Outlaws. And I'm staring at this and going, but where are they though? And Atlanta. I don't
Hmm.
think they can keep that position. I think they're going to walk away 2-0. 2-1 if they're lucky. 2-0. I think they're going to walk away 2-2, 3-1 if they're lucky. Wow. I can do math, except that I just proved that I can't. Uh, I have an English degree. God damn.
You have an
Ugh.
English degree. I have a film degree. Neither
And
of
here
us.
we are
Yeah.
doing math. I can see Toronto walking away with a 3-1 or a 4-0, honestly, just because of the way that they have been playing. Because just Aspire, man, Aspire has been wild with
It's
them. And it's.
Sure.
Toronto and Gladiators and Toronto and Dallas. Okay, maybe they'll walk
Yeah,
away with a 2-2.
I was gonna say,
Hmm?
but who are they playing? Anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
should
Glads and Dallas.
we get into the predictions here and just
Yeah,
start
yeah, let's
hashing
just,
things out that way?
yeah.
So so first match is gonna be Atlanta Reign versus London Spitfire, and I
Atlanta.
yeah, Atlanta. Next up, Boston versus Houston.
Houston.
Mm-hmm. Um, next, Hangzhou versus NYXL.
That I don't know, honestly.
I'm
New
going
York has been
Hangzhou on that.
doing I mean, New York has been doing better recently, I think, but not by much. Uh, yeah, let's go pink. Why not?
Yeah, I'm sticking with the Hangzhou here. So next up, we have Chengdu versus Philly, and I'm going Philly.
I'm gonna go Chengdu.
All right.
Let's go
Next up,
nuts.
Valiant versus Shanghai, and we're going
Shanghai.
Shanghai. Yeah, you're not going that nuts.
3 3-0 easy clap. They are not picking up a map here.
No. Next, Washington Justice versus London Spitfire.
Washington, but I can see London. See, in both of their matches, I can see London picking up maps.
Yeah.
If they played the way they did against the Shock, I can see them picking things up. And Sparker has been such a difference.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. So that I don't see them winning, but I see them getting the maps they need to have a better record than Florida, which is sad, but here we are. Anyway, then we have Gladiators versus Toronto. I kind of want to put it on Gladiators, but Toronto has also been playing out of their goddamn minds, and it's the Aspire factor.
Yeah, this one I'm definitely having a little trouble picking here.
I'm going to go with Glads, but I think we're looking at a map 6.
I'm probably leaning Glads as well, but yeah, this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a closely contested series, to say the least.
Katie, don't you mean a map 5? No, they're going to fucking draw on Volskaya.
Mhm.
Next.
Yeah.
I will make draw on Volskaya a meme, goddammit.
You will try.
I will try.
Following that, Dallas versus Houston.
The Battle of Texas. We're back, baby. I have to go Houston.
And I'm going Dallas. I think
As we do.
Houston has has a better chance here than they had in the previous couple encounters, just because Houston can really try and pull out that Arisa comp, and we'll see if Dallas has been able to grow and adapt to it yet.
I mean, I think this is the third Battle of Texas we've had this season. Houston took that first one. Dallas took the second one.
No, they had a hang on. I'm pretty sure there was a third, wasn't there?
I mean, teams don't play each other multiple times in the same tournament
Knockouts.
cycle, do they? Knockouts, you're right. And Dallas took that one.
Yeah.
I
So
forgot about those.
of course, the
So
Houston
much
fan
for
forgetting
that.
their defeats.
Oh, hush. I forgot what day it was twice today when I had a calendar open in front of me.
Yeah,
It's not denial. It's just it's DiGiorno.
it's not denial. It's the struggle.
No, I rather like DiGiorno. We're gonna get breadsticks from somewhere.
Yeah.
DiGiorno doesn't make breadsticks. Fuck.
So yeah, having looked it up, 3-2 Houston Outlaws in the first one, and then next Dallas wins 3-0, then Dallas wins 3-0 again.
Must you rub my face in it?
I am
Must
just
you? Must
clarifying.
you? Must you? I know. We're hitting the end of the recording. We've only been going for an hour 15. What the fuck? We're hitting the end of my workday and I'm dying. Yeah, I'm still going for Houston. Hope springs eternal. Why not?
You know, I can respect it, and like I said, I do think they have a better chance here.
Yeah, it's not like going for Houston last year.
Yeah.
The year of our Lord 2020. Yeah,
Or yeah. So next, back over to APAC, NYXL versus Philly, and again, I'm
Philly.
leaning Philly here. Next is
Yeah,
Valiant versus Chengdu. I'm
Chengdu.
leaning Chengdu, but I feel like this has the potential to actually get interesting considering how wacky and inconsistent Chengdu's performances have been. And then let's not
I,
forget right now Chengdu's previous they started off strong, but they're sitting at a perfect 500, and I think more of their recent matches have been losses than wins.
yeah, this is one where I think the Valiant could probably take a map here, but I don't think they're taking the match.
Yeah, I don't think Chengdu is going to lose to them, but with Chengdu being as, you know, constantly inconsistent as they are, we definitely can't rule out, them playing competitively or them steamrolling. It's like we said at the beginning of the season, like everything about Chengdu, like they started off really strong, but all the sort of scrim buck results were saying that there are times where they look like they're capable of beating anyone, and there are times where they're capable of dropping maps to the Valiant.
So we'll see which one it is.
Yeah. Um
Still leaning Chengdu, though. Valiant's
mhm.
having trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the sun is
Next
slightly warm.
Next up, the Hangzhou Spark take on the Shanghai Dragons, and I don't have any qualms about saying Dragons here.
Shanghai 3-1 at best.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Back over to NA, we have the Atlanta Reign versus the Boston Uprising, and I'm going Atlanta there.
I think it's Atlanta, but it's going to be a fight.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Um, Hang on a
Here's
second.
a wild one.
Wait, are we sure this is all 100% correct? Because I thought London had another game this weekend.
I might have typoed it. My life is yeah. I honestly might have looked somewhere else and typoed the shit out of this. That problem when you do notes when you're distracted. Yeah, it's Toronto Defiant versus the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, Toronto versus Dallas. So
We
Atlanta
did
versus.
we did have two London games. It's London and Atlanta and London and
Oh,
Washington.
right. Sorry, yeah, I that was my mistake. But yeah, Toronto versus Dallas, and again, lean in Dallas. Though I feel like Sato has potential to. Sorry, that voice got weird there.
Is you all right there?
Yeah, has potential to make things interesting because he's definitely more of a Winston player, but he can break out the Orisa.
And again, I don't think we can overlook Aspire. And I
Oh
know
yeah,
we sit here and go, oh, you don't have to worry about hit scan, etc. for Dallas. They've shored up that weakness. But Dallas still is not playing Pine.
yeah. I
And
don't
I
think
will be
Pine's in the
surprised.
country yet.
Yeah, honestly, I'll be surprised if we see him before the finals. Uh, but I don't think we can overlook how much of a different wow, how much of a difference Aspire has made for the Defiant. And you know what? Fuck it, let's go. I'm going to go Defiant on this one.
I don't think we're.
This is why
Um.
my pickums are
Yeah.
garbage.
Yeah. I can do without the crack pipe. Thank you very much.
This is why my pickums are garbage, but I can see it happening. If they can pull out the Orisa comps and then they have that difference with Aspire, I can see it happening. If Dallas stuffs Aspire every time he pops up for air, that's different.
Yeah, and we shall see what happens. Um, Finally, Washington Justice versus the LA Gladiators.
At Gladiators, like it's going to
Yeah.
depend heavily on how Justice plays, but given that we can't honestly figure that out, and evidently neither can they,
Hmm.
it's a safer bet to go with Gladiators, and they've been solid. So why not?
Yeah, yeah, I'm leaning that way as well. So with that, that brings us to the play-ins, but of course we have a lot of variables that have still not been decided.
So again, we look at just our little preds. Which two teams from each region do we think are going? And I mean, the APAC is easy. Shanghai and Seoul, most likely.
Mhm.
Very surprised if that is not the case.
Yeah.
I don't think New York is going to pull out a miracle again. Philly might, but
Well,
easy.
with the play-ins, there's always the upset potential.
Yeah. So I really do think I'm going to go Shanghai and Seoul, but with no surprise if it's Shanghai and Philly.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think those are the two most likely. Hangzhou has some chance, but I think they're a little more on the outside. Guangzhou and NYXL I would view as less likely.
and I mean, Hangzhou, we can immediately assume that they are losing one of their matches. Hangzhou, their best is a 2-2 here because they're going up against Shanghai.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. And like Seoul's definitely in there. I with well, Seoul's definitely like with the 3-1 right now. They've definitely put themselves in a really good position to get there. I should say. Um,
Yeah.
Hangzhou, I think they're going to beat NYXL. They're definitely going to lose to Dragons and end up with a 3-1. The question then is how do things shape up otherwise? Because right now, Guangzhou definitely not making it. Valiant definitely not making it. Chengdu, it's possible. I don't see NYXL making it right now, but then again, I could be wrong. I haven't watched both of their recent games, but I didn't like feel like I saw a significant improvement in the one that I did see.
So it's just a whole lot of we'll see, but honestly, probably Shanghai and Seoul.
Yeah, most
Those
likely.
are the easy ones to predict. Then we go back over to NA.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to do, and this screwed me last time and will probably screw me again, but I'm going Houston Dallas.
Honestly, I was kind of pondering that myself.
And again, seeding is going to heck up so much of this. Like I predicted Houston Dallas, and then they faced each other immediately in a battle of Texas, and I went, "Welp."
Mhm.
Dallas is kind of the easy one to predict here because they have been so consistently good.
Yeah,
It would be a surprise if they don't make it to the tournament. But yeah, I'm looking Houston Dallas cuz let's definition of insanity this. Let's go.
yeah. I would honestly love that storyline going into this.
Cuz that means we would with any luck we wind up with at least one Battle of Texas in the tournament.
Yes, which would be such a hot match.
We are taking the Battle of Texas all the way to Hawaii. Okay, sure. Yeah. That's yeah. That would just be batshit insane.
Hmm.
Okay. Do we want to do the traditional Reddit check to see if anything has gone insane while we've been recording?
You know what? Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't always happen, but I think it happened like once, and therefore it is a necessity. Any luck?
No. Yeah, not seeing anything that's not just, memes and fun stuff. Nothing well, there is a new Philly New York trash talk video, but it's not, anything directly relevant.
Yeah, honestly, the best thing they've put out recently was this week's this week's comms check. If you haven't watched it, please watch it. It made me ugly laugh.
It was pretty fucking great.
It was beautiful. Watch the thing. Enjoy yourselves. And in the meantime, CJ, where can the people find you?
At the underscore rage underscore nerd on Twitter, and in a couple months, you might see my name in some credits for TV stuff.
Yay! And I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias, as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. I am also on a Rooster Teeth podcast called Rooster Team Radio. We cover most things Rooster Teeth, generally animation, and given that RTX at home is this weekend, I believe, I think we're going to have a few things to say about that. So keep an eye out. Should be fun. You can follow us on Twitter at OnThePointPod. And as always, important things, for the love of God, get vaccinated. The Delta
Please.
variant is now the dominant strain in the United States. This pandemic isn't going to end unless we get our shit together. Get vaccinated. Get other people to get vaccinated. Please and thank you. Please keep wearing your mask. The World Health Organization says that vaccinated people should still be wearing their mask because of the Delta strain. So, do the thing. You've got all those super cute masks that you bought during the pandemic. You should absolutely keep wearing those. Yeah. Support your essential workers. They don't have the choice to stay at home, and they deserve your patience and your care and your support because they are human beings. And all human beings deserve your patience and your care and your support. So do the thing. In that vein, Black Lives Matter, Black LGBTQIA lives matter, Black trans lives matter, AAPI lives matter, Black Lives Matter. That hasn't changed. That's not going to change. Contact your representatives, support the post office, and vote in your local elections. And also, get vaccinated. God damn it. We love you. If you've already been vaccinated, thank you. Thank you. If and when you are able, we know not everyone can, but if and when you are able, get vaccinated. Absolutely continue to wear your mask. Take care of each other, because that is the only way we are getting through this, is if we see each other as human beings deserving of kindness and compassion, which we are, and we do our best to take care of each other. And remember that we see you as human beings who are deserving of kindness and compassion, and we love you. Is there anything else? Have we missed anything?
I think we're good.
Alrighty, let's see 9.